Hey guys, and welcome back to the Ringer 57 YouTube channel. Tonight's video is slam, okay? It was basically I unboxed a bunch of crap and I routed a few things, and that was about it. Why? Because I spent most of the afternoon chasing the second car in a row that fell through and the third that fell through. So, we're still working on it. If anyone knows of a good $500 to $600 beater with a heater in Alabama, holler at me. It only needs to make an 8-mile commute every day. You know, it's for the roommate. Anyway, let's get you going on what's going on. Alright guys, and here's what's going on. Can't see much for changes, obviously. We have the air compressor wiring routed running up into the fuse box. Comes out of the fuse box, backwards. Power from the fuse box goes through into the compressor, out of the compressor ground, goes through all the way up, this orange wire, all the way up around, up. This is all going to get tucked around. Makes a loop because it was a little long and I didn't want to cut it because it's already got a really nice plug. Ran it around and right back where it used to be. Except this used to go direct battery negative. Now it's frame ground, but not a big deal. It's well and tight. This side is all cleaned up and closed off. Why? Because we are done there. The next thing, we got I gotta switch this housing because you can see pretty black. Not so pretty black. So we'll get this housing switched. Just take this switch out and this switch out. Wow, that's sticky. There it goes. They work. That's all that matters. Okay, so you're going to have nitrous arm, air shifter arm, purge. That's it. Air shifter off, nitrous off. Or hell, air shifter off, nitrous off. However you want to do it. In any case, power's still over here. Starter. Everything's still powering on up here. So the connections we need to make, we need to break into this and get all the connections for those switches hooked to all these, except for this one. This one goes to a little LED we're going to mount up right here. So we have a green LED and a red LED. Red bag, green go, right? So we're going to have a red one. I'm going to drill this hole out just enough to fit it. And a green one. Red will be oil pressure low. Shut this sucker down. Green will be air shifter is armed. And of course, nitrous armed is pretty obvious because it turns the Promax on. So I don't really need a warning for that. That oil pressure light will also act as a warning to me that, hey, idiot, you forgot the power on. Because I did that last night, and trust me, trying to get a lithium-ion battery charger to recognize a dead lithium-ion battery, not so nice. You got to hook it up and then hook 12 volts from a jumper battery through a small gauge wire and just touch positive to positive, negative to negative. And that thing will trigger, hey, I need a charge, and it'll start charging. From there, you just ignore it and it will come back to life. It took overnight, but it did come back to life. My battery's full and ready to rock and roll. I'd love to show you the compressor, but right now the compressor is not plugged in over here. Obviously, I don't have that side panel on. What else did we get in today? We have all of our, as they called them, EV6 injector piggies is what the label actually says. You're not going to believe that. I'm going to actually show you. I still got it. Injector piggy EV6. So we got 4 of those. So we're actually straight plugged into our injectors. So we're going to use these to build our injector harness. This one and this one will come together. And this one will come together. And they'll all come together. Gimme. This one and this one will come together here and go to blue, and blue will go over there to blue. Get it? Okay. Anyway, we got to build that harness tomorrow, and at that point we can start Susie. We'll hook the freaking test lines back up, stick them in a bucket of gas, and start Susie. What else came in? The DME grudge shifter is here. So, this is the shifter we settled on. It is a DME grudge shifter for a Gen 1 Hayabusa. Conveniently enough, had the exact offset I needed, the exact length I needed, and is optimized for this type of cylinder. We need to run this up to there. It's about the middle of the stroke. It works perfectly. Trust me, I can't do it with one hand, but it works. So I'm going to get a 40mm standoff built from here out, and that is where we will run our bolt in. I will probably just go ahead and get a freaking standoff, tack it to that plate, and then weld it to the frickin' plate. I'm at that point right now. I'm just going to weld it to the frickin' plate. And we need to get a shouldered bolt so this isn't on a bind. Run that shouldered bolt all the way down until it doesn't go down no more. And this will be free to float on the shoulder. Put a little lube in there. I did pull the solenoid off of here. Mac valve, whatever you want to call it. It is a Mac valve. And we're going to get that replumbed properly. First thing, I need to get a threaded standoff for this tomorrow. So I can go ahead and weld that on and we'll be good to go on that. That green wire for the LED is running up here. And yes, there's a plug. It is tucked way back here, but there's a plug. What is that? Paint. Grease. Got it. It's thread seal. Pipe dope. Other than that, yeah, we got this yellow wire for the coil power, which is going to go right here, is running back here so that it can go into the RSR on the, you guessed it, yellow wire. We'll have green wire coming out of there following this same wire, except it'll make a hard turn and go into the fuse box. That way we have spark cut. So that'll be the bulk of our RSR wiring. Other than that, we've got, what do we got here? Tack in, don't remember what that one is. Oh, shifter input, which we're not using, and arm. We're using arm only. Shifter input I'm leaving here, and I'm just going to block the pin on the other plug. That way I can always use the tool and just pop that pin out and run a wire if I ever want to go to a push button shift again. For now, we're leaving it auto shift. I dig my auto shift. We did start designing our bracket. It will read off of these bolts back here. I do need to make it 10 millimeters longer. So about there. And then we'll go ahead and drill a hole that lines up spot on as I can get with that. Has to be spot on because it follows. So as spot on as I can physically get with that. What I'll probably do is, believe it or not, stick a pen in this, slide it over, stick a pen in it, and just whoosh. That way I've got a crescent in the tires pattern, and we'll find the center line, and that'll be our hole. We'll drill probably 12.5 millimeter hole, big enough for us to weld an M12 nut to the back side of it. And that M12 by 1.25 should thread in our sensor, which is on the way. Then we can go ahead and wire our sensor up to our piggy. We'll probably do a plug right like here or up here, probably here. We'll do a plug. This allows us to have our sensor, believe it or not, it will stay with the wheel. Okay? Ooh, I like it down better. Probably go down. I like down a lot better. The convenience of bumping something. So it's going to read off of this bolt, a bolt here, bolt here, bolt here, and a bolt here. We got 5. Now, a lot of people do these on 4-wheel drive transfer cases to get transfer case output shaft speed. That will be 4 bolts, so 5 should give us an accurate enough read. We only really need it to start reading at about 10 mile an hour. 10, maybe 15, depending on where I wind up coming in with the ramp. I'm planning to ramp it at 10 mile an hour. May set it to 0. That means it's going to spray out of the hole and ramp in from there. It just has to meet the other requirements, which would be throttle position and engine RPM. Hit those 2 requirements, away we go. So my minimum RPM I spray this motor at is 3,000. Yeah, I know, way too low. I spray it 3 grand, that's rod bending territory. That's where I gotta spray it to get out of the hole. Hoping the new shock helps with that issue. I can run a lighter tire pressure, have less drag coming out of the hole, and stand it up. This bike sprays at 5,000. It does not have any circuits to protect that, so I can spray it right now with the engine off. That needs a window switch. I got to look into it. Before I let Junior have that on nitrous, it needs a window switch. Then we can just arm it and spray it. This one, it's about as far as we've got today, guys. So tomorrow I'm going to come home and I'm going to go ahead and wire up all this last little bits of spaghetti up here. Wire it, loom it, and make it all pretty. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and wire up these last little bits of spaghetti up here and loom it and make it pretty. And we'll hook up, well, we already got a return line. This is the actual return line. But we'll take it and stick it into a bucket of gas. We'll hook up, this fitting comes off. I don't know if you guys have seen this test rig before, but in here I got a chunk of hose with that M10 threaded fitting that threads into the pump for feed. And then these both hang over here just like this. One goes in the bucket, the other goes in the bucket. And when you turn it on, it sucks gas in. And it builds fuel pressure until it hits the fuel pressure it's supposed to be at. At that point, it starts puking it out over into the tank, and it just sits there. You hit the key, and you hit the starter button. Starts cranking as soon as it detects RPM. Pumps on, fuel pressure spikes, injectors fire. We get our priming pulse, which I think is like 1.2 millisecond pulse. Just a of gas, basically like an old accelerator pump carb. You're just going as you're cranking. That lets it pop. Once it pops, it takes off on its own and sits there and idles. It'll have cold start enrichment, which should set it at like 10-5, 11-1, I think is where I have cold start on this. It's really rich. But it likes to run at that. I did find out this thing doesn't run below 40 degrees. It does not. Then again, I haven't touched that portion of the tune. So, anyway, guys, we're 11 minutes into this video. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.